All right. Can you see? Are we good?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So just let me know if you see something weird or it's not working, or if you have any questions. All right?
I have a question before we get started.
Sure.
How do you split your screen to show the directions and the assignment at the same time?
Well, if you have a large screen, that's possible. But if you have a regular screen, you can just set just like I do. Let's bring it up my Chrome. You can just make it smaller, like this. What I'm doing right now. So you can do like this.
Uh-huh.
Of course, depending on the size of your screen. But if you have a tiny screen, it may not be useful. But if you have a little bit bigger one, it's possible.
Okay.
And at the same time, you can go tap between. See that what I'm doing? This is tap, tap and command on Windows. I think it's pretty much same thing in.
On the Mac, it's the same.
Worst case, what you want to do is, for certain questions, you want to get it word for word, then you can copy from Word and put it into the Excel. That's what I'm doing, and you can see from Excel only.
Okay.
So that's kind of tips I can give you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right, let's move on.
I'm sorry. It may be a little loud in my background. I'm at work. I think I heard you when you said it, but I'm not sure. Are you going to record this one and put it up like you did the last one?
Yes, I do. Yep.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. All right. So let's move on. That's for the labors workbook. So I'm going to open up labors. So this is the one. So basically, we have a bunch of data. How many? It could be 200, 300, but those columns are repeated. I mean, for example, the product group, in column B, region, different regions of the states, and month, January to December, and year, and the random year. And the main thing here is the sales amount. This should be dollar amount, but we can always make it dollar based on the questions. So that's what we have for the data file. And then the other one is for summary sheets. And this is for summarizing whatever we found from here. For example, here, column B is asking number of sales for each state. We have only 3 states in this example. So we can use what they call count if to count those number of sales for Colorado, for example. Same thing. We can count number of sales, not total sales, number of sales, like how many transactions, right? We can do so by using count if for Oklahoma. Same thing for Utah. So that's for the column B. Column C is asking using average if. That's kind of subcategories of if function. And that's from the module 6, I say 7. Yeah. Average if. So that's what we're going to use in column C. Okay, so I'll get into it in just a moment. So let's starting from, again, labor workbook, question number 1. We just opened up. Say I'm going to save it. So I'm going to save it as labors followed by my last name. All right. So saving as directed is very important because you want to save all those sheets as instructed, okay? So that was number 1. Number 2, from the sales data, create an Excel table, okay? That's out of module 6, creating Excel table. Well, we have already Excel table, but this is what we call a table within Excel. So we're going to create a particular area as a table. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to create an Excel table. Then we're going to go to Insert tab, click Table. Then over here, that's our kind of range of table we're going to assign. So we just click OK. Don't do anything in the box. Just click OK. All right. So this area becomes Excel table. We can name this area a specific name. For example, right here, I'm going to go to table name box. I'm going to name it product sales. One word, okay? There's no space between. For certain names in Excel, you have to give a one word without space between. Okay, this is the one example. So table name must be one word. So I just name it a product sales as directed. I'll keep saving. Format the sales column, which is column E. What is it? Accounting. So I'm going to go to Home tab. I'm going to click Accounting, number format, and no decimal places. So I'm going to decrease decimal places. Oops. Decrease. All right. All right, so that was step 2. Step 4, somehow I just skipped 3 in the instruction, but step 4, make a copy of sales data, which is right this one. I'm going to make a copy of these worksheets. I'm going to click Move and Copy, then click Create Copy, this box, then click OK. Then I think I didn't mention the order of worksheets that you're going to say, but I think the order of the sheets you're going to create must be, in this order. So you just make sure this new worksheets always go to the end, okay? So anyway, so I'm going to name this as sort. Sort, that's step 4, right here. All right. We're going to sort this table, but question is, when you have to sort multiple columns, for example, reason, month, year, those 3, how are you going to do this? Okay, so that's what it is asking. So we're going to sort multiple columns. So we're going to go ahead and click Data tab. From Data tab, you find Sort in the toolbar. From here, you can load multiple, what they call multiple levels. So starting from product group, so I'm going to click product group, and what kind of order? Ascending order, so that's A to Z, that's ascending. Next level, we have reason, and what order? Another ascending, so A to Z. And last one is sorting year, so that's right there. And how are you going to order this? That's chronologically, that's smallest to largest, okay? So then I'm going to click OK. So as you can see, it's ordered by product group first, then by region, then by year. So 3 different columns are kind of ordered, sorted. So this is different from you're going to sort individually. You're not going to succeed as we have done using multiple sorting. Step 5. I'm going to save this. Now we're going to copy this again and move to the end. And we're going to save the new sheets as a filter with total row. Right? Main thing here is you're going to show total row. My Excel is kind of narrow, so it doesn't show everything, but because this is table, then you have table design tab at the top, okay? From table design tab, you have this area, table style option. You have a bunch of boxes. One of them is total row. Total row will allow you to show different type of statistical calculations. If you click here, then you can see average, count, max, minimum, sum, all those statistical things that you can calculate. But because this first column is just text, you don't have to do that. Text, you cannot do statistical thing, mainly, right? So main thing here is the sales. So we're going to go to sales, then we're going to make it as average. That's what it's asking. So I'm going to click average and make sure it is average from the list. And I think we can name this just as average instead. So this cell A364 is served as a just, label. Then actual average is in E364. But again here, same thing. If you want to do something with the other columns, you can click, then you see the drop down, then you can select one of those statistical things. Okay, so that's the feature of using this total row options. You can always turn it on or off from here. Okay, so that's the step 5. Actually, I think I skipped one of this, which is the insert a slicer. But I think slicers, we can do it from pivot table later on, but I can do it from here. Anything, this is one of those things you can insert, right? So if you see something you need to insert, you want to go ahead and click Insert tab, for example. So it says Insert a slicer for the product group. So slicer is nothing more than kind of user interface. So if you go to this area, filters area, again, that's on the Insert tab, filters, click slicer, then you click product group, which is the column you need to select, and click OK. So as you can see, this is one of those kind of boxes or forms where user can use as another type of user interface. So you can select one of these, then change all those data based on your selection. Okay, so that's the slicer. So I'm going to save it. So that was step 5. Step 6. Okay, I think I already did step 6. That I did average, right? Here I use average from the calculation to find those average sales. So that was step 6. So step 5 and step 6 are kind of in the same category. All right. We'll move on to step 7. Okay, so I'm going to make it another copy of sales data worksheets. Create a copy, move to the end, name it as subtotal. Totals. Okay. Subtotal is kind of another very unique feature, very useful feature. So, for example, we have those 3 different regions. So what subtotals will give you is you can show subtotals for Colorado and Oklahoma and Utah. So that's how subtotal will be used. Kind of interesting, but within here is without using subtotal function, it's a little bit hard to do it. You have to go through steps because you have to calculate all that for sales manually. Then you move on to Oklahoma and all that, but subtotal will allow you to do it pretty quickly. Okay, so let's do that doing subtotal. But I just crossed out one of these things, kind of unnecessary, so I just cross out, so don't worry about that. And first step to do subtotal is because this is a table, you need to get rid of this filter thing. Okay, so with this, you cannot do subtotal, which is under Data tab. And that's under, again, because my Excel is kind of too narrow, it doesn't show everything, right? As you can see, this is kind of full range of Excel, but I just narrow it down here, just like that. So kind of hidden behind. So I just bring it up. So it's, as you can see, this subtotal is grayed out. So we want to show this subtotal available. To do that, you need to do what they call remove the range. Remove the filter. So we need to do convert to range. So where is this convert to range is located from this table. You go to table design, and if you look at this area, there's a convert range. So all it does range will do is just remove this filter thing so that you can do subtotal. So I'm going to click convert range, then confirmation, click yes. All right, as you can see, those filter drop downs are gone. Then now we can do subtotal. Okay. Before I do that, I want to do sorting because we're going to do the subtotal by region, right? Yeah, region. So make sure region is sorted. I think it's lucky it's already sorted. Probably actual test may not be sorted. Then you want to sort column B, which is the region. Go to Data tab, then use to the sort, either ascending or descending. Okay, but in this case it is already sorted, so we don't have to worry about. Then I'm going to go to subtotal right away. Subtotal. Again, I think it can be a little bit confusing because I minimize it, but it's there right here. Data tab right here in this area, subtotal. Then make sure this first selection at the top is region. Why? Because that's how we're going to sort, how we're going to find the subtotal by regions, right? Then next one is function. Function is what calculations you want to do, so I'm going to select sum. Then next area, then what number that you're going to use, which is the sales. So cell is already selected. Then just leave it as it is. Then other choices you don't have to worry about. Then you click OK. Then it'll give you this subtotal. For example, if you scroll down and you'll see right here, you have a Colorado subtotal. Then you move down, then you have Oklahoma subtotal. And if you go all the way down, then you have the, actually there's one item for Georgia. And then you have your grand total at the bottom. So this is how subtotal works. And you can always remove this subtotal, go back to subtotal, then it says remove all. Then you click remove all those subtotal will be gone. Then you go back to the normal, data range. Right? So I'm going to save it again. My subtotal worksheets. All right, that was step 7. Step 8. Step 8 is, okay, we're doing the filter, right? So first of all, we're going to copy sales data, create a copy and move to the end and save it as, what's this? Bottom 7, right? Bottom 7. All right, so we're going to filter bottom 7 for the sales amount. Okay, so that's what Excel will find. We will find bottom 7 amount of the sales. So what we're going to do is we just going to click this filter drop down for cells, then look for number filters, then you look for top or bottom option, which is, in this case, we have top. Just click top 10. Then you have, of course, a bottom right there. So just select bottom. Then in next box, you click how many of them. So it says 7, so you just type it in 7. And item or percent can be done too. So that's how this thing works. Then click OK. Then it'll show only 7 of them, right? Bottom 7, but you can still sort this because it's kind of random order. So we're going to sort. You can right click, or you can just go back and sort smallest, largest, so that you sort it by ascending order. All right. So with this, I'm going to save it. So that was step 8. So how are we doing? Are we doing good?
Yes.
Oh, great.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Next, step 9, starting from step 9, I think about 3 or 4 steps, we're going to work on pivot table and pivot charts. Pivot table, pivot charts are very useful, like especially on workplaces. I have seen many people using pivot tables, pivot chart in their companies and workplaces. Because it's very useful, very powerful feature. So that's how this pivot table, pivot charts are chosen in this book. So let's work on pivot table, step 9. So we're going to go back to the main worksheets, which is the sales data. So from sales data, we're going to insert pivot table. So from here, you're going to go to the insert tab. Pivot table is first in the toolbar. Click that. Then you can either create in a new worksheet or you can do it in existing worksheets. But I think most likely I'm going to use new worksheets because it's easier than put it into existing worksheets. Okay. All right. Then I'm going to click OK. So this is new worksheets, creating pivot table background. And I'm going to just extend it a little bit so that you can see everything. So this is the main area. Then in this area, that's the pivot table fields that you can choose. For example, here, those boxes. You can select those boxes. And those are the columns that you can use and kind of organize in this area. So all depending on how you're going to organize. And it could be random, but that depends on how you're going to work with this columns section or row section and value section so that you can show different way. And especially value sections are calculations, statistical calculation. You can do sum, average, count, minimum, and all those calculations. Column, row, that's how you're going to show in which direction. Okay. So I'm going to take it off. Then we're going to follow the directions. Okay, step 9 says we're going to create a pivot table and pivot chart shown in the figure below. So I just gave you a screenshot because it's easier than trying to explain, especially pivot table. I think it's kind of tricky trying to explain, turn it on, turn it off and all that. So I think it's easier just show you the screenshot. So all you do is just follow. Of course, you need to read it first, but you try to make it as a screenshot at the same time. So looking at screen is much easier. So I'm going to just turn it on month, because that's what it shows, month, year, sales. So that's what I'm going to select, month, year, sales. Okay. Then I'm going to worry about how we're going to show, because right now it looks different from, the screenshot. So the screenshot, we have year and month in the rows section. So I'm going to move this year to the month row section. Then sales remain values, right? And let's take a look. Don't worry about this chart. We're going to do a chart later. Just pay attention to only the PV chart. Okay, this PV chart. So look, it looks, I think, almost same. Okay, I think numbers are a little off because there's a time between I recorded and screenshot. I mean, I actually had it in this test. So don't worry about the actual number, but it looks very much same. And then we're going to format the number as currency. So I'm going to go to here, values and sum of sales, and click value field settings. Then I'm going to click number format. Then I'm going to click currency. Make sure there's no decimal places. Then click OK and back to OK, so that my numbers are formatted as a currency. Okay. Then I'm going to insert chart, PV chart. Then you can do insert chart, but the better way is just stay in this pivot table design and analyze those two things that's from the pivot table. Okay, so make sure in the pivot table analyze, then you look for pivot chart. It's right here. Then it'll give you these different types of chart. What we want is line chart, so I'm going to click line, then I'm going to click OK. Then I'm going to just align this just like that. All right, then I'm going to save it. So that was our first pivot table. All right, step 10. We're going to do another pivot table. What was the name that we have to save it as? We need to save it as pivot chart. So I'm going to go back here, save it as a pivot chart. Then I'm going to move back all the way to the end. All right, I'm going to create a new copy. And save it as written statistics, step 10. All right, so again, we're going to make it just like that, this screenshot right here. Right, so I'm going to do the same thing. So you see that those check mark. So I'm going to select those 3 columns and arrange columns and rows, values, those areas, so that I can show just like this. Okay. So product group, region, sales. Oops. I didn't mean to do this. I'll just delete this. I think I made a mistake. I supposed to create a pivot table, but I just made a copy. Sorry about that. So I'm going to go back to, again, sales data, insert, and pivot table. Then new worksheets and save it as region statistics, right? All right. Again, product group region sales. Product group region sales. Then how are we going to show it? Product group region in row. Okay. We have sales, sum of sales, and average of sales. We have sum of sales, but we don't have average of sales. So we need to have one more sale, right? So all you do is just drag the sales over to value section, then change the one we just copied, make it average. So this is the label, which is the custom name. That's average of sales. And again, calculation is average, right? Wow, average of sales 2. We don't need that number 2. And of course, you need to format the number. So I'll go back and format the number as a currency, no decimal places. Same thing for the average. Right. I think the screenshot is like accounting format, but what I did was just currency. So it's a little bit difference between those two, but I think as long as it doesn't specifically says accounting or currency, just follow whichever it says. Okay, but I just assume currency there. But all right, so that was the step number 10. Step number 11 is another pivot table. So I'm gonna just move this one to the last and go back to the original, which is sales data. I'm gonna insert pivot table, then name it as, what is it, company sales by month and year. And see what we're gonna do here. And we have region, month, year sales. Okay, so that's what I'm going to select. Region, month, year sales. Then region in columns. So I'm going to move this region to columns. And row section, we have year, month. So year is right here. So I'm going to bring it up to the row section, so that it's just like that, right? Region, year, month, and sum of sales. Yeah, so look exactly the same. Only difference I can tell is just the currency, right? So I assume you know how to do it at this point, right? And one more thing I have is slicer, right? Slicer for region. So go back to, what is the slicer? Right here. On the pivot table, analyze. You can go to insert tab, but you can stay in pivot table analyze tab, then click slicer, then select region, click OK. And there you go, you can assign slicer right there. All right, so I'm going to save it again and move this one to the end of worksheets. All right, so those are the good example of pivot table and pivot chart. Okay, so I'm going to move on to summary sheets. I think I just mentioned in the beginning that we're going to summarize all this data set based on those 3 states. Actually, we have Georgia, but I'll just skip Georgia because it's only one data set. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to find number of sales for Colorado, number of sales for Oklahoma, Utah. But you need to use COUNTIF. So I'm going to do COUNTIF first. Then we're going to do SUMIF or average if later. Okay, so because that's how this column B is indicated, right? So here's what we're going to use, COUNTIF. So starting with equals COUNTIF. And the data set we're going to use in sales data worksheets. So you have to go back and forth. So first variable within COUNTIF, you need to select the region column. So I'm going to select column B. You don't have to highlight all the way. You better just click at the top so that the entire column B is selected. Then you go back to summary sheets. Then you select column and set cell A2. I think I lost the selection. I'm going to do it again. Then go back to summary. Then I'm going to select cell A2 because that's where Colorado is located. You can select the cell containing, Colorado, or you can type it in. So as a matter of fact, you can type it in just like that. Double quotation, then you type Colorado in double quotes. This is the same thing as I just select cell A2. Then close and press enter. And it'll give you a number of cells for Colorado, which is 120. So it occurs 120 times. All right. Let me try it again for Oklahoma. Okay. Equals COUNTIF. I'm going to go back to sales data. Then I'm going to select column B at the top. And I'm going to just go back to the formula bar so that I can move on to our syntax, which is the comma. Then I'm going to go back to summary sheets. Then I'm going to click cell A3, where Oklahoma, the word is located. Or again, with a double quote, you can type it in Oklahoma. 120. Okay. But the setup right now is you can autofill. So all you do is just actually with the first one you can autofill, then you'll see how you get the answers, because it's exactly the same formula, but only difference is the A2, A3, A4 in the last location. Okay, so that was COUNTIF. What about average sale? Average sale is using average if. I think I have a SUMIF, but I think I made a mistake. It's supposed to be average if function that you need to use. Okay. But average if, SUMIF, they're exactly same. So let's try that. Average if. So I'm going to go back to sales data worksheets. Then I'm going to select column B at the top, comma. I'm going to come back to summary sheets. Then I'm going to select Colorado, which is located in A2. And average if and SUMIF, requires one more item. Okay, count if you have only 2 variables, right? But average if sum if requires 3 variables inside. So once you select Colorado, then you type comma, then you go back to sales data, then you need to select the column that you're going to use sales, right? So you need to select sales. Entire column E, matter of fact. Then that's it. Then I just press enter. All right, so I'm going to do it again. Average if equals average if, back to sales data, select column B, comma, back to summary sheets, I'm going to select Oklahoma, which is A3, comma, back to sales data, I'm going to select column E, entire column E, then press enter. Then you have the average sales for Oklahoma, same thing for Utah. Then we're going to format these numbers. Accounting format. With no decimal places. Just like that. Here's the format, formula view. All right. So that was the labors data file. The second part is merchants. So I'm going to open up merchants right here. So this is example of working with multiple worksheets. So this is another very useful technique because most likely you're going to have all worksheets exactly same because of different time, because of different location, those things, but you want to, for example, you want to summarize them, okay? And this is very useful technique. So let's get on to that. Again, I'm going to save it as merchants followed by my last name. Hi. Okay, so step 3, for the 12 monthly worksheets, complete the following steps. First one is, for example, I'm going to go back to January. We have amount changed, meaning that number changed from 2015 to 2016, right? Percent change, meaning you found amount changed from cell D5, for example, then D5 is what percent of this amount is out of B5. So that's the percent change. Okay, so let's try that. Amount change should be, before I do that, we need to group them. That's the main thing of module 6, is it 5 or 6? The main thing of the that module is grouping and ungrouping and 3D reference. So let's group them, January to December. So you select January, press Shift and hold. Then you go to the end, which is December, click. Then those 12 worksheets are highlighted, grouped, and they are working as a group. Okay, so you don't have back and forth between sheets. So D5, we're going to just enter the amount changed, which is 2016 minus 2015. Then I'm going to autofill on the way. Okay, same thing for percent change. So we're going to find out what this amount is out of this 2015 amount. So that'll give us a percent. So I'm going to use the just division, which is D5 over the B5. D5 divided by B5 give us a percent. And we're going to change that percentage later on. And we're going to do the sum and row number 11. Autofill. But the amount change and percent change, I'm going to just do it manually, which is just that. Especially a percent change, you cannot do the sum because this is percent. If you add them up, then number will be increased, right? Rather than, I mean, of course, it, because of you have negative, it doesn't increase all the way, but the number will be different. So you need to calculate rather than using the sum function. Okay, so that's what we have.
What did you do for the amount changed part?
To subtract 2015 from 2016.
All right, thank you.
Right there.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Okay, so next thing is just formatting, right? So I'm going to format those numbers, accounting, no decimal places, and percent with 2 decimal places. Okay. Let's make sure there's everything. Step A, B, C, D. Yes, that's under step 3 of the merchants. Okay. All right, then we are good. So I'm going to just release this grouping and make sure everything looks good. Just doing quick check. All right. Step 4. We're going to complete summary worksheets. This worksheet. By summarizing 2015, 2016 totals by rental type. So we have different type of compact to the minivan or different automobile. This is supposed to be rental car. So you have compact to the minivan. And if you go back to January, that's what you have. So rather than just doing manually, we're going to consolidate all this into one summary worksheets. Okay, so we're going to add them up. All right? So that's what we call 3D reference formula. Okay, so let's do it. So I'm going to start from equals, sum, opening parentheses, and you're going to click January worksheets, and you're going to press Shift and hold, and make sure you select December, which is the last worksheet. Then you're going to select B5. Was kind of hidden behind, so I had to scroll down a little bit or up. I'm going to click B5 and press enter. So as you can see, the formula is entered by Excel. As you can see, sum of January to December worksheet, but using cell B5. So all those B5 from 12 different worksheets are added by doing this way. Okay, so you can either just type it in this way, but could be, kind of tricky because you have to type it in all the way. So I think it's easier just highlight or select this way and Another good thing about this is you can always autofill because the structure is just created, very easy to just copy and paste. Same thing to 2016 and all the way down. Why don't I do it manually for 2016? Okay. Okay. Equals sum, opening parentheses. Then I'm going to click January worksheets, press Shift and hold. Then I'm going to click December. So all those sheets are grouped. Then you're going to click C5 and press Enter. Then you're going to autofill all the way down. I think you can do this too. From here, I'm going to just manually calculate. Oops, I supposed to calculate, right? Then I'm going to make it number format for this guys. Counting, no decimal places, percent format, 2 decimal places. Yeah, looks good. And here is the formula view. Amount change, I think we can just sum it. I just did it manually, but any questions?
No.
We good?
Yes.
Let's see, that's everything. Yeah, that's everything. And of course, we need to save it again and insert your name in the header or footer, depending on the instructions. All right. So do you have any other questions?
Nope, I'm all set.
Great. All right. So if you have any other questions while you're studying or anything at all, just let me know.